Mangwana ni mwalilepo vukenjani Wanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashton Betty and Diana Master. How are you, Diana?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am fantastic.
It's a great day.
Oh, it is a wonderful week.
Yes.
It's it's raining, but I feel good. My skin is popping off. Everything's nice.
I love that for you. Let's get into what you can expect in today's broadcast. SABC appoints new group CEO. Ivory Coast tourist haven battles coastal erosion and rogue waves. And Sierra Leone lifts curfew after breakout from Freetown's Pademba Road prison. We'll also be crossing over to Zambia a little later on in the show. And we speak to Mike Sachula as he updates us on all the news making waves that side. Stick around. We'll be right back with our top stories right after this.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning. Let's get straight into your top stories. We start off in South Africa. Public broadcaster SABC has appointed a new CEO, Nomsa Chabeli. Chabeli was former general manager of brand and marketing at telecoms giant MTN for 4 years and marketing director of Massmart controlled Masscash for a year. She also served as marketing director of SuperSport and DStv and was chief marketing officer at national marketing agency Brand South Africa for a year. She holds an MBA from Henley Business School, but a source with knowledge of her time at MTN who spoke to News 24 on condition of anonymity claims she was a poor people's manager with little experience of running a business. Chabeli steps into the top job at SABC as the embattled broadcaster attempts to recover from years of mismanagement and ongoing financial woes.
Now moving over, on a shrinking strip of beach in southeast Ivory Coast, hotel owner Habib Hassan Nassar has to stack thousands of sandbag each week to protect his property from the rising sea. Thanks to the meters-high sandbag barricade, the Kame Surf Camp Hotel clings to its section of beach in the resort of Assini, even as the waves hem the hotel in on three sides and in a recent surge devastated the businesses of its neighbors. He says he is exhausted. Now he spends up to $1,640 a week to keep the sea at bay and his business afloat, buying truckloads of sand and hiring workers to pour it into bags and shore up the hotel's defenses. Such expenses are likely to increase. Without adaptation, damages from sea level rise could cost 12 large African coastal cities up to $86.5 billion by 2050, according to UN climate experts. Those cities include Ivory Coast commercial capital Abidjan, just down the coast from Assini. The rapidly growing populations of West Africa's low-lying coastal areas are particularly exposed to rising sea levels, a trend that is accelerating globally due to extreme glacier melt and record ocean heat levels, the World Meteorological Organization warned in April.
Now, Sierra Leone's nighttime curfew imposed after armed men freed prison inmates has been lifted for now. Detainees from a number of major facilities were released on Sunday morning, said the West African nation's information minister. President Julius Maada Bio later said most of the leaders behind the attack had been arrested. In a televised address, he described the events as a breach of security and an attack on democracy. He carefully avoided calling them an attempted coup. He said calm had been restored but gave no details about who the perpetrators were or what they wanted. There will be a new 9-hour nighttime curfew beginning at 9 p.m. yesterday, the information ministry says.
In Tanzania, Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa has directed the Tanzania National Business Council, ministries and stakeholders responsible for requiring reorganization to strengthen the capacity of women CEOs in the country. He also directed the Ministry for Community Development, Gender, Women and Special Groups to improve the database of leaders and senior women executives in the public and private sector. Majaliwa said his directives were part of the implementation of the preparation of voluntary disclosure of information on the execution of the Sustainable Development Goals. The Premier issued the directives over the weekend during the 11th meeting of the Tanzania Women CEOs Roundtable and the annual general meeting themed Learning with Confidence, Purpose and Influence.
Now, Chad began campaigning on Saturday for a vote for a new constitution in a perceived test of legitimacy for the junta and the Itno dynasty's 30-year reign. Transitional President General Mahamat Idris Deby Itno, whose junta has governed since 2021, had promised to hand over to civilians and hold elections this year before postponing them to 2024. More than 8.3 million people in the vast but poor Sahel country are called on to vote in a referendum slated for December 17 in a key step towards elections and establishing civilian rule. The opposition, NGOs and political scientists said the ballot looks set to be about maintaining Itno and his family's dynasty after the 3 decades of absolute power enjoyed by his father Idris Deby Itno. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. Mike Suchula joins us after the break.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
All right, now we cross on over to Zambia to speak to Mr. Mike Sichula so that we can get an update on all the news making headlines at that side. Good morning, Mr. Sichula.
I'm very well, thank you. Good morning.
All right, getting straight into it, what are some of the highlights from the ongoing 2023 International Conference on Public Health in Africa taking place in the capital city, Lusaka?
All right. The third conference is taking place at the modernized Murungushi International Conference Center in Lusaka. It is being held under the theme Breaking Barriers, Repositioning Africa in the Global Health Architecture. President Hakainde Hichilema yesterday opened this conference, and he did state that this conference provides a good platform for African leaders to define common health problems affecting Africans, including pandemics, preparedness for the continent. The president did call on the countries that are attending this conference that there is need for partnership between Western and African firms in the production of vaccines. So he believes that there must be teamwork between developed countries and those countries that are behind, so that these vaccines can be produced locally and many other medicines that are in their need on the African continent. So this conference has been attended by many dignitaries from within Africa, outside Africa, and Europe, to name but a few. And it is ongoing at even today up to Wednesday. And it is hopeful that after this conference, many resolutions are going to be made to help public health on the African continent.
All right, now police have arrested a civic leader who is reported to have threatened to shoot his wife over a domestic dispute. Tell us more.
Yes, this is Ndola Mayor Joseph Kariati, who has been arrested and charged for allegedly threatening to shoot his wife with a pistol after a marital dispute. He has been charged with 2 counts of threatening violence and going armed in a public place. The incident happened on Friday night at one of the hotspots in Ndola district, were in full view of onlookers. So according to police, the matter has been reported by the wife, who said that she felt unsafe being in the hands of her husband, who, according to her, she did not know that he had the firearm, and this matter has created so much trauma, and hence the move by her to report the husband to the police, and the gun has since been retrieved from the mayor, who was also been arrested and for further questioning on this matter.
All right, now, Mr. Sichula, what is the update on the pastor who is accused of having raped a church member?
Well, there was some expectations on Sunday when a close number of people went to the church to just see if the pastor is going to turn up in the church to preach, as he always has been doing in the past Sundays. However, this was not the case. He did not turn up. Only the wife turned up, and doing one, when she took up the podium, she did caution members of the church, especially the female folk, not to tempt men in the church, including her husband. And she did say that the issue of him being caught with another woman is something that is a small issue which should not be blown out of proportion, according to her. And when social media got wind of this, they did begin to question as to why the wife of the pastor could be saying that him being caught in an awkward position is a small issue. And also the same pastor has been released from police on police bond, and he has not even appeared on social media like he's been doing to kind of like defend himself. So we are here to see what will happen going after, if this Sunday is going to be in church to do what he's been doing for the past Sundays.
You know, something I find quite fascinating about Christians is that they forget where the name comes from, Jesus Christ, which assumes that he's the example that Christians are aspiring to. I wonder if that example is asked of pastors or pastors' wives. Moving on. In sports, Copper Queens are in Luanda ahead of the Wednesday's Women's Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Angola. How's it looking, Mike?
Well, it is looking to be a fun-packed match, considering that Zambia has summoned one of its prolific players in the name of Barbara Banda and also Lecho Kundananji, among others. So they were received in Angola by the Zambian mission in Angola at the airport. And this match is expected to be highly contested, considering that the match, the winner of the two-legged match is going to qualify to the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. And remember, last time Zambia went to the Africa Cup Women's edition, they came out third, and they won themselves a ticket to the World Cup. So they are hoping that they could qualify on back-to-back to the WAFCON and also go back again to the World Cup using the WAFCON tournament. So it is going to be an exciting match to see to it if Zambia is going to take an early advantage from this that will be played in Angola tomorrow.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike, for bringing us the news stories from Zambia, and we certainly wish the Copper Queens the best.
Thank you very much, and hope they can win so that when you do come back to Zambia to get your wife, then Zambia will be celebrating. Thank you.
Hey, that works very well for me. You know, no, seriously, negotiating with people who are already celebrating, that's really peak good conditions right there. And we're hoping for even better conditions, you know, with predictions up next.
In economic news today, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said there was a positive momentum behind the British economy after announcing $36.8 billion of private sector investments. He was speaking to the media on the arrival at Hampton Court Palace for a meeting with global executives in his bid to restore the country as Europe's top foreign direct investment destination. Let's have a look.
Global Investment Summit is Britain's welcome to the business world, attended by over 200 of the world's leading CEOs and investors. My singular focus is driving growth and creating jobs across the UK. So I'm delighted that we've secured investments worth around £30 billion, 3 times the amount that was secured last time this summit was held a little while ago. And that comes on the back of a very positive autumn statement where we cut taxes for those businesses that are investing in our future growth, and also the great announcement from Nissan last week securing the future of that plant in Sunderland, building 3 new lines of a generation of electric vehicles. So very positive momentum behind the UK economy. I'm very clear that the levels of net migration are too high. They need to come down to more sustainable levels. It's encouraging that the Office for National Statistics last week did say that the numbers are already slowing, but we need to do more. I've already taken action to tighten the number of dependents that students can bring when they come and study here. We'd seen a very sharp rise in those numbers, and that measure that I took represents the single biggest measure to bring down legal migration that anyone's ever taken. But of course, as we need to do more, we'll look at that, and where there are abuses of the system, we will of course act on that, because the levels do need to come down. They are too high. Thanks very much.
All right, let's head to our economic indicators just before Ari shows up with the sport.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with tennis news first. It's tennis news from the Davis Cup. It's the men's tennis team event, and it's an event that's 123 years old, rich in tradition, and it's the team that played in the final in 2022, Australia, that's through to the semi-finals. They had to come back from 1 game to love down. That was against the Czech Republic. But in the end, it was Alex de Minaur. He is number 12 in the world. He won his singles game for Australia, and to make it 1-1. And then it was Matthew Edman and Max Purcell. They won the doubles against Leheshka and Adam Pelcek. That score was 6-4 and 7-5 for Australia to go through by 2 games to 1, and they will play in the semi-final against Finland. It is in the doubles. It was Matthew Edman and Max Purcell that performed well. They a good combination together. They actually won the 2022 Wimbledon tennis tournament. Other quarterfinals are still to be played. Is England that will play against Serbia, and it is England that will play without Andy Murray, that is injured, and then it will also be Italy that will play against the Netherlands. The final of this event, the Davis Cup for men, will be played on Sunday. It's being played in Malaga in Spain. Continuing international sports news with cricket news, it is the World Cup 50-over World Cup cricket that's just concluded, with Australia winning their 6th title against India. But India and Australia still continuing to play cricket now. It's a tight schedule. Just a few days after the conclusion of the World Cup, they play a T20 5-day series that will start on Thursday. Many of the players have not gone back to Australia, so some of the core batsmen that stayed behind will be Travis Head, also Steve Smith and Matthew Wade. Matthew Wade will be the captain. But Australia will be without many of their seam bowlers, or their best bowlers. Their 3 best seam bowlers went home to Australia. Those are Pat Cummins, also Mitchell Starc and Josh Hazlewood. They're not going to play in the 5-day T20 or the 5 series T20 games against India. And to conclude today's international sports news, it is soccer news. It is news from the Euro 24 qualifying, and it is Wales that didn't qualify directly for Euro 24, but they still have a way to get into the final. There's 4 teams left in the playoffs now. They will play 2 semi-finals, and then the winner of those 2 semi-finals will play for a place in Euro 24 in Germany. Wales will play Finland. That is on the 21st of March, and they will play the winners of the game between Poland and Estonia. Wales also had a similar route in the 2022 World Cup that was played in Qatar. They did make the Qatar World Cup. That was after they beat Austria first in the semi-final, and then they went on to beat Ukraine in the final game to qualify for Qatar World Cup. Euro 24 will be played in Germany. It will the opening game will be played on the 14th of June, and that game will be played in Munich in the Allianz Stadium, and the final will be played on the 14th of July. The draw of Euro 24 will be made on the 2nd of December. That will be in Hamburg. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
You're still with Africa. Good morning. For those of you that are just joining us, let's take a look at the highlights from today's broadcast. SABC appoints new group CEO. Ivory Coast tourist haven battles coastal erosion and rogue waves.
All right, those have been our stories, and if you are keeping an eye on the English Premier League, last night it was Fulham versus Wolves. Fulham won that 3-2, but what really matters is that, much like these tablets, Arsenal remains on top of the table. How does that make you feel, Diana? As a former Manchester United supporter,
I have no thoughts, I have no feelings.
I'm just saying that the red works very well.
Oh, okay. I guess today it's in support of Arsenal.
I will
exactly.
appropriate it for myself. Right, thank you for watching Africa Good Morning. Sera Jakanaka.